Psalm 32, Confession and Restoration. Psalm 32 in the Book of Psalms is traditionally understood as a psalm of repentance that explores the weight of sin, the relief of forgiveness, and the restored joy of a right relationship with God. In many Reformation-influenced Christian readings, particularly those shaped by the theology reflected in the Epistle to the Romans and echoed in the New Testament's teaching on grace, the psalm is seen as a vivid illustration of forgiveness granted by God apart from human merit and received through faith. The opening verses describe the happiness of the one whose transgression is forgiven and whose sin is covered. This is often interpreted as describing a state of being declared righteous by God, not because of personal achievement, but because guilt has been removed and sin is no longer counted against the individual. The language of not imputing iniquity is especially significant in this reading, as it suggests that wrongdoing is no longer legally charged to the person before God. This idea is closely connected to Paul's use of the psalm in the Epistle to the Romans, where it is cited to support the teaching that righteousness is credited apart from works. The psalm then shifts to a deeply personal reflection on the burden of concealed sin. The psalmist describes physical and emotional anguish, as though secrecy about wrongdoing leads to a draining, oppressive inner condition. In this understanding, such distress is not merely psychological but also spiritual, reflecting the tension between human conscience and divine holiness. The lifting of this burden only comes when sin is acknowledged rather than hidden, emphasizing that unconfessed wrongdoing disrupts peace and fellowship with God, even if it does not sever the possibility of restoration. Confession becomes the turning point of the psalm. When sin is openly acknowledged before God, forgiveness follows immediately. In this reading, confession is not presented as a ritual act mediated through human intermediaries but as direct and sincere turning to God. The assurance of forgiveness is seen as immediate and complete, aligning closely with the teaching found in the first epistle of John, which speaks of forgiveness and cleansing following confession. Following this, the psalm portrays God as a place of refuge and protection. The imagery of deliverance from trouble and being surrounded by songs of salvation conveys a sense of restored security. The repentant individual is not left in fear or uncertainty but is invited into renewed confidence in God's mercy. This reflects the broader biblical theme that repentance leads not only to pardon but also to renewed intimacy with God. The psalm then transitions into instruction, portraying God as a teacher who provides guidance for right living. Yet it also warns against stubborn resistance, comparing unwillingness to be led to the behavior of animals that must be controlled by force. The implication is that human beings are called to respond willingly and attentively to divine guidance, growing in moral and spiritual maturity rather than resisting correction. Finally, the psalm concludes with a contrast between the sorrow experienced by those who remain unrepentant and the joy found by those who trust in divine mercy. The focus is not simply on external outcomes but on the inner condition of the soul. Sorrow accompanies separation and resistance, while rejoicing accompanies trust and restored relationship with God. The overarching message is that true happiness is found not in self-justification, but in receiving mercy and living within that restored fellowship. Taken as a whole, Psalm 32 presents a unified message. Forgiveness is a gift rather than an achievement, confession brings restoration, divine guidance leads to renewed life, and trust results in enduring joy.
Psalm 32, a psalm of David, a contemplation. Blessed is he whose transgression is forgiven, whose sin is covered. Blessed is the man to whom the Lord does not impute iniquity, and in whose spirit there is no deceit. When I kept silent, my bones grew old through my groaning all the day long. For day and night your hand was heavy upon me. My vitality was turned into the drought of summer. Selah. I acknowledged my sin to you, and my iniquity I have not hidden. I said, I will confess my transgressions to the Lord, and you forgave the iniquity of my sin. Selah. For this cause everyone who is godly shall pray to you, in a time when you may be found. Surely in a flood of great waters they shall not come near him. You are my hiding place. You shall preserve me from trouble. You shall surround me with songs of deliverance. Selah. I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will guide you with my eye. Do not be like the horse or like the mule, which have no understanding, which must be harnessed with bit and bridle, else they will not come near you. Many sorrows shall be to the wicked, but he who trusts in the Lord, mercy shall surround him. Be glad in the Lord, and rejoice, you righteous, and shout for joy, all you upright in heart.